Let's talk about mindset. I like to balance out everything I do. If I talk about physical stuff, I like to also talk about the mental, emotional, spiritual side of things. I feel like we have to have that balance if we're going to be fighters, if we're going to be an adept, if we're going to be an asset and not a liability to our people. I don't like to use the word warrior because I feel like there's too many connotations attached to that, and people want to argue over the definition of that word. I just want to be capable. I just want to be a hero of my own story. And so I thought I would share with you guys a little bit about how I began this journey into challenges or misogis. If you've read The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, then you're familiar with that term. He talks about it in there. I want to say like 1992 or 3. We were having a discussion about Sri Chinmoy. He is a philosopher, a spiritual leader. What I really liked about him was his pursuit of wanting to show people that we're truly limitless, that the only limits that we have are what we decide to accept. And I thought, that's pretty cool, man. This guy's done some cool things. I was talking with a friend about it, and there's this event in New York City where they run around a park for nonstop for as long as they can. And it's for charity and to raise awareness and for world peace and all these good things, right? And we were talking about this. And my friend said, hey, have you ever heard about these priests in Japan? They do this thing, it's a misogi. And it's a thing that you don't think you can do. And then you do it. But you have to have a price for failure. There has to be a severe price for failure. And for them, it's, look it up. I don't want to say it because then YouTube will ban me or shut me down or whatever. But there's a severe price to failure to reach their goal, which I believe is to run like it gradiates, it grows in number, the miles that they run or kilometers that they run, but they start with like 60 kilometers a day. And they do that every day. And then it's 100 kilometers a day and do that every day. And they do this for several years. And the purpose is to transcend the physical and realize it's mental. And they do this in wooden sandals and their priestly garments, their garments that they wear as a monk. I'm like, holy cow, they're not even wearing like running gear. They're not wearing like nice hokas or anything like that, man. And this conversation led to what has now become years of, do you think we can? And do you think we could run 30 marathons in 30 days? Do you think we could do 50 days of 5Ks? Do you think we could deadlift 600 pounds every day for the next 60 days? And we've done tons of these things. I've lost count. I've lost track of the numbers of challenges that we've given to each other and we've come up with for each other to try to push ourselves to transcend the physical and see just what we can do when we decide there's nothing we can't do. If that makes sense. And it's been a great experiment. And when I talk about mindset and when I talk about, when I train people, when we are doing the physical, we're using the physical, the diet, the exercise, the daily rituals, the habits that we want to establish. We're using those. In the beginning, it might be a misogi. In the beginning, it might be a challenge. Let's say your assignment is to get up every day at 2:45 a.m., regardless of when you went to bed, and you're to read for 30 minutes. Read something that excites you, that lights a fire in your soul, something that makes you want to be better, to do better. And then I want you to take another 30 minutes and reflect and write while you're fired up, while you're, all cylinders are banging. I want you to write. And then I want you to then go outside and run or walk if you're there, if that's where you are physically, but for an hour. So the first 2 hours of your day before anything else happens is spent on doing something that you don't normally do, that you have to do for the next year every single day, no matter what. and you can't fail. You can't quit. I won't let you quit. That is a Misogi. Because as simple as it sounds, the application of that is complex or complicated. You might be traveling. You might have something come up. You might have to be somewhere. All these things. But you have to wake up at 2:45 and spend those 2 hours taking care of you, bettering you. That deposit into your bank account of mindset is going to be, it compounds in interest, right? Because it's going to carry you through those tough times. It's going to carry you through those moments where you think, I can't do this anymore, no matter what it is. Like it might be a hard day at work. It might be a difficult conversation with a child or your significant other. There's 100 ways that mindset deposit is going to pay off in regular life. But that's what it's about. And that's why I stress mindset so much. And that's why I've always done these challenges. And I've always pushed myself. And now I'm sharing this with everybody else. I think I've shared it with everybody else for a long time through Total Protection Interactive, the forums, in my social media. I've talked about it. But I've never really felt comfortable encouraging others to do it until the last year when a mentor said to me, why aren't you encouraging people to do this? People are looking for hard things to do. People are looking for challenge. People are looking for the opportunity to prove themselves wrong because their negative self-talk is telling them they can't do this. They're not that guy. They're not that gal. It's not in them. And so they want a chance to prove that voice wrong, to shut that voice up. And you talking about this and sharing this and asking them to do this and telling them to do this is going to give them that opportunity. And I thought, man, that's true, because that's how it happened for me. If my friend hadn't said, why are we just reading about this guy doing awesome things? And why are we just reading about these monks in Japan doing these awesome things? Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we actually doing something to challenge ourselves? Why aren't we actually doing something where there's a greater than 50% chance that we'll fail? When we did the 30 marathons in 30 days, there was a moment, several moments, where I really thought, like, my body is going to break. My body is not going to, my toes are literally breaking. Like, it's not like a metaphor. They're breaking. Like, my feet are starting to get weird lumps. Things that are not good are happening. I don't know if I can do this. And I kept going. And I kept going. And eventually you get to a point to where you don't feel all that. A lot of people scoff at that. And maybe modern sports science will tell us that that's not the best idea. You shouldn't run when you're injured. However, from the mindset perspective, there is something to that. When Prefontaine talked about that, it's not about running to see who can win, it's running to see who can break. I'm paraphrasing, but he talked about setting a pace and pushing it to see who breaks first. And we don't often get the opportunity to do that with ourselves. And so that's what it's about. So when I talk about mindset, and I'm going to talk about mindset more in the future and share some things with you guys and challenge you guys, but I just want you to know that's where I'm coming from. That's my perspective on this. That's how I approach mindset, because you can't fake it. You can't, just like you can't fake endurance, you can't fake strength, you can't fake technique. You also can't fake the unbreakable, indomitable will. Little things like that. But those are Misogis, because there's so many things that are going to come up, so many little voices that are going to come up and arise, and you need to pay attention to them. They're going to come up and they're going to tell you, hey man, just skip today. Your knees hurt, your shoulders hurt, you don't have time, you got things to do. Those voices are going to come up and try to derail you, and that's the voice you need to pay attention to, because that's the voice you need to crush. And that's also the voice that's going to come up when you're in a moment of making a choice. That voice is going to bubble up and go, man, just, it's over, give up. And you're going to need enough of a bankroll of those times where you've told that voice to shut up. You're going to need enough of a bankroll over there to draw from that and go, I've told you to shut up so many times. Why do you even bother to show up? I hope that makes sense, my friends. Words are hard today. But I want to get more into this as we go forward. But I'll give you one of the challenges that I'm doing right now, and I'm doing with a bunch of the people that train with me. And that was what I just mentioned, 100 burpees a day for a year. We're doing 100 burpees every day for a year. And most of them are banging them out so fast now, we're probably going to up that number and get up to about, the goal is to get up to 300 a day. So we are going to get there. It is going to happen. It's coming along. And if you guys want to jump in on that, man, let me know in the comments. And that'd be awesome, because it is as simple as it sounds, man. It's those little things. Like, I'm just going to get up an hour earlier than I normally do and spend that hour reading something that edifies. If you're a Christian, then reading my Bible. If you're some other faith, then reading whatever the book, your holy book is, man, and meditating and doing some centering prayer and starting my day off like this. And I'm going to do this every day for however long. You know, it's those things that develop that discipline and that ability to stay in the suck and not quit. Real quick, when I was having my aneurysm, there was a moment I was face down in the parking lot, and I remember a lady, I remember her wearing scrubs. I wish that I could find out who she is so I could say thank you. I've tried so many times and never. But she came to me, I was face down, and she shook me awake. And I remember lifting my head and looking at her, and she's like, listen, just stay here. I'm going to go get help. We'll come back for you. And I remember distinctly thinking, okay, cool. I'm just going to sleep here until you come back. I'm just going to go back to sleep. And then I thought, F that. I'm getting up and I'm walking in. I got this far. I drove here. I walked across this parking lot, falling down, I don't know how many times, busting my face open, breaking my jaw, breaking my wrist from falling. And I got here. I'm 20 yards from the door. I'm walking in. And that's that voice. That's that voice that wants to bubble up and say, come on, man. Do you really need to do these burpees? Do you really need to just sit here and drink water while your buddies are drinking whiskey? Do you really need to, go to the gym today? And I had enough time, enough repetitions of telling that voice to shut up, that it was easy to, one more time, tell it to shut up, get myself up and walk in there. And that might be what saved my life. Mindset, man. We're going to build it. Stick with me.